the temperature in Abuja is ramping up steadily. It's 27 degrees Celsius here in the city of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maokbe Ogun-Yusuf.
Interesting that Lagos and Abuja temperatures are exactly the same for the first time in a long time. Welcome to the show. I'm Ayo Makinde. Today is November 4. Some kind of iconic day somewhere else, but hey, welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Oh, you know, I had cause to write today's date just before I came for this program. As I was writing it, I was remembering you. So thank you for being our accurate time and date keeper. Well, it does appear that this issue of the threat from the United States government, of course, is still generating reactions from many quarters. Yesterday in Nigeria, at a joint security briefing led by the NOA at this monthly security updates it does with the public relations officers of the various security agencies, it said that the United States intelligence might have failed it this time as it did in many other instances. There are so many reactions coming into it, meetings being held back and forth, a lot of back channels being accessed and processed as well. And on this program today, what we intend to do is bring you further reactions to that. But take a listen to what the Director General of the NOA did say, and let us know after you've listened if you agree with him.
The fourth edition of the Joint Security Briefing brings together security chiefs, intelligence agencies, and the media to review national security developments. The monthly engagement aims to provide updates on security performance and anti-corruption gains.
In the month of September, the major arrest of suspects, I say major, there are several thousands of arrests, but major, we have 42 in September, and that rose to 56 in October. A lot of arms and ammunition were seized during the month of September, but that rose significantly in the month of October.
Representatives of security agencies also shared insights.
At the end of our investigation, if a recovery is made, we will return it to the individual. We have had cause to return properties to state governments, corporate institutions, federal governments, and victims of fraud. It is important for us to know that when we say recoveries are made, it is not everything that goes into the covers of the federal government.
If you want the correct news from us as an agency, I mean the Nigerian Police Force, you go to the Public Relations Department to confirm whatever information you have and you wanted clarification on. That is our position. Anything you see, you don't believe everything you see on the social media space.
The Director General of the National Orientation Agency used the opportunity to react to the threat made by U.S. President Donald Trump.
This is not the first time that the intelligence of the United States has failed America. It failed them in Iraq. It turned out that there was no weapon of mass destruction, and they apologized. It failed them in Libya and many other instances. So I'm sure this is another error in an intelligence gathering. But beyond that, we all are Nigerians, I suppose, and we know that there are killings in Nigeria, and there are killings that should not happen. And there will not be this monthly security briefing if this government does not take it seriously.
He reiterated that the government remains focused on national security, transparency, and regular communication with citizens. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Well, that was a submission of the Director General of the NOA saying that perhaps the U.S. intelligence has failed the United States on this particular count of a claim of a genocide in Nigeria. But that particular claim by U.S. President and the threats to intervene in Nigeria, should the Nigerian authorities not do anything about it, is still generating reactions. Yesterday on the sister program, we of course had The reaction of the Minister of the FCT, if you missed it, is on our YouTube channel. But this morning we have, shall I say, an eminent Nigerian, someone who's paid his dues in the academia. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is political and global affairs analyst, joins us virtually from Kaduna this morning. Prof, it's very good to see you. We'll also have a guest joining us from our studios in Lagos, as well as from our studios in Abuja. But in the meantime, we're going to be taking your reaction, Prof, to all that you've seen so far. This news breaking on Friday, in less than 24 hours, another tweet. And now we're seeing, a flurry of activities from Nigerian authorities, to debunk this claim of a genocide. How has the northern elite, whom you represent as well, received this particular story?
Thank you. Good to see you too, Maope. I look at it as Larry earlier, the boss of the NOA, said the intelligence failed them. It was actually the politicians who failed the intelligence of the United States of America. So it is the other way around. It was the same lie. The same lie they told. The same lie they told the Congress that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, and it never had. It never did. The same thing. Similar rhetorics, and therefore people should not even waste their time talking about the big word used for massacre. Everybody is being massacred, and since our return to democracy in 1999, virtually Nigerian lives have become so cheap. It is about a collective wahala, let me use a Nigerian term, that the government has not been able to do much. But the massacres, what we call them, the insurgents, all of them were a creation of the Western intelligence. And American politicians still continue to be ignorant of things that are happening in the world. And that Nigeria, there is no country in the world, whether small or big, that will overlook Nigeria's stand in the world in terms of resources, both human and material. And secondly, it is just the same script about the economy. It has nothing to do with human life. They don't care about human lives. They are watching them wasted in Gaza, being wasted in Sudan. They never bothered about those lives. And therefore, one life is equal to the entire world, according to the scriptures that we have. And therefore, the aim is something else. And that they are coming at a time when Nigerian government itself is not in good terms with the people. They keep taxing them every now and then, taking advice from outside the country, taxing everybody, removing everything. Nigerians are at the receiving ends. I don't know whether they will make the Tinubu government a bit popular or not by saying we're attacking Nigeria. God damn it. These are things that Nigerians are not frightened by those kind of things. My fear is that the word that President Trump used, further divided Nigeria, or the elite in what you call them, the religious elite, ought to have understood the game rather than playing their part, saying dividing, we had more victims, you had lesser victims. It is not that way. It is about the resources. And therefore, coming to Nigeria is particularly northern Nigeria, is being competed for by America and France. They want a space to enter Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso for the uranium that they have been using, they have been getting free of charge. And therefore, it is about the economy because they are broke and they are more indebted. And America is the most indebted country in the world to the tune of $37 trillion, and it cannot pay. And again, America is threatened because Nigeria has done something that they don't like, why swapping naira to using naira with Chinese ruble, Russian dollars, other currencies in the BRICS and so on. They are not comfortable with that, and they are expecting that Mr. President will go there and negotiate. Among the items on the table is to dictate to Nigeria not to do deals with China, Russia, and others. That is not the business of America. America should come to terms with the reality that it is no longer the bully of the world. It has to do with politics with some people, be big with people, be calm with people, be civilized, be civil with other nations, so that we are Nigeria is a friendly nation, friendly country to America. America should replicate the same rather than threaten Nigeria. Please, Mr. President. Yes.
Prof, I was just going to say that you have given a very nuanced interpretation and an analysis of, the statement of President Donald Trump, and also provided some context to what exactly could be behind it, which could be fueling it. The question I have, you've also talked about how politicians, that is not U.S. intelligence that has failed, but politicians who have failed the intelligence of the United States. First of all, which group of politicians are you referring to? Is it Nigerian politicians or American politicians?
I'm talking about politicians in the White House, not even American. Americans themselves are fed up with the politicians in the White House, be they Republicans or Democrats. It is the same scenario in Nigeria. There is no trust between people, the people of Nigeria and politicians themselves, because they promise one thing and do something entirely different. We have never had it bad in the past 10 years or so. So we call it democracy that is disturbing the people. Eventually, Nigerians pay for everything. What is the essence of having a government? They pay for everything, and therefore the leaders, the politicians, should not expect the younger ones to be patriotic to Nigeria, because Nigeria has not invested in their education. Nigeria is charging their parents for education, removed every subsidy, reduced electricity, crashed the national currency. What else is left? When will Nigerian politicians listen to Nigerians who are actually doing impeccably well abroad? Everywhere they go, they meet the same Nigerians. And therefore, Nigeria is a great country. The people are great. And today we say we have a failure of leadership. It has to do with the same advanced countries who are planting their foot soldiers not to allow Nigeria to fix its refineries, its electricity, its basic infrastructure. They are the ones doing it.
Well, so you're looking beyond this statement, and you're saying that, look, you've also said the fact that, it would seem that we have also played into their hands. You talked about lives being cheap in Nigeria since our return to democracy in 1999. Nigerians are generally unhappy with their government, and you're saying that perhaps this might even make the current government popular, as the case might be. The question I'm going to ask is, if there is a consensus around these ideas, are a lot of northern elite saying it like this, or do you think that there is a misgiving as to how this has come about and is breeding distrust with other parts of Nigeria?
Fortunately, the northern elite have many ways of getting information from all over. Because of the use of Hausa language, they also use English. And others only refer to anything written in English as if it is sacrosanct, coming from the Bible. Because English is so twisted that it is so annoying with the deceit and lies that sometimes I call it Brexit English, where they said nobody should frown when a Nigerian says we had voted, we had casted our vote rather than cast, because the anomaly is so anomalous. And therefore, if they add ED, logically, it is okay. People should not frown. It is Brexit English. And therefore, the elite are much aware, and with the social media, thanks to social media that expose all the things that used to be said behind doors by advanced countries that used to sacrifice African countries for their own personal thing. When they are broke, they plant, they create a big lie, sell it to the Congress, and then the Congress approves it. And in fact, they also sponsor individuals from those countries, individual countries, to go and present lies as clerics. Therefore, they used a religion in the past few years, particularly Christianity and Islam, getting some people to raise the narrative, the negative of divisive, rather than telling people that it is the same religion at different times for different peoples, and that it is the same religion. They are not happy that Africans are now getting the real thing, that religion is no longer divisive. It is guiding, it is accommodating, rather than having the consistencies, or what we call them, the differences understood by all sides, everywhere. So ethnicity has not worked for some time. It has not. Now they think they can use religion again to divide Nigerians. They cannot divide Nigerians. My headache is that with all the talks we are making, Nigerian government does not listen to us to reverse certain unpopular policies that has exacerbated poverty and hunger, actually. Remove it, because those white people, Europeans are doing the opposite of what President Trump has been doing since the first day in order to please them. You cannot please them. I told Mr. President in the past that don't allow them to blackmail you. Whatever happened in the past happened. Everybody had his own time.
All right,
don't allow
Prof.
them to blackmail you. After all, anything you do, good or bad, eventually they will come after you or dump you.
I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts for us, as we've since been joined by Mr. Jeke Pele, who is the founder of TAF Africa. Is in our Abuja studios. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And I also know that Ayo has a guest in the studios in Lagos. So Ayo, over to you.
Thank you, Mokwe. Mr. Onyekachi Adekoya is here with us as well. He is a security expert. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Mokwe, let me just begin with Mr. Adekoya here. You've listened to Prof. What are your thoughts on some of the things that he has said?
I think the sentiments from Prof are just about the aggregate summation of what is out there in the public, where some project that perhaps this is more than just what Donald Trump is saying. Clearly, there are killings in Nigeria. Sadly, some of us have been on national TV. We're almost beginning to sound like a broken record. They say that Bikule Okpani Todole Pani. That is to say that if the death in the house does not kill one, then the one outside would likely get the person. It's sad that Nigeria is at a point when we're waiting for a Donald Trump to gain political leverage over a sad situation in Nigeria.
Political?
Yeah. Because you see, the problem with this situation is that the U.S. does not lack intelligence on Nigeria. I can say that for a fact. The U.S. has its mission here in Nigeria. They have a number of USAID-supported security organizations that have been gathering data on the ground in Nigeria. They employ a number of enumerators. They have a number of field evaluation agents. So it's not a lack of intelligence to say that the U.S. does not have proper visibility into the issues on the ground, northeast, northwest, north central. Even down south, the U.S. has the information. What Prof has said is that perhaps this is a political failure, not an intelligence failure. So you're asking for my reaction. I say that based on what we know and based on available information, the U.S. cannot see. It doesn't have full visibility into the issue. Now, the matter at hand, it depends on who is speaking to the ears of President Donald Trump and what data set is being presented. For example, just before we came on air, I was saying, if 100 people go to the market, you can say 100 people went to the market. But if you do look at the demography of who went to the market and the sex of the people who went to the market, then the data can tell you more information. If you take a data set of, say, over the last 3 years, 10,000 people killed, according to Amnesty International, sad as it is, that's 10,000 people killed. How many people are Muslims? How many people are Christians? How many are boys? How many are girls? How many are combatants? How many are non-combatants? Then the data begins to tell you a bit more. But the fact is, clearly over 10,000 people have faced untimely death. So that's the bigger sad reality. And I'm saying that beyond what is coming from Washington, D.C., we have that problem here with us in Nigeria, which we cannot deny. What we would rather like to hear is what is the government doing differently to address it.
There are two words I'd like you to talk about before I go to Dr. Pele in Abuja. The word genocide has been used. And another word that's been bandied around for quite a bit is massacre. Listening to Professor Ademola Abbas yesterday on our sister program on this station, who was talking about the fact that the word genocide has international legal connotations.
Correct.
For which reason the use of that word it generates interest and attention. But if we are to look at the information on ground from what you are saying or from the information available to the U.S. government, not just the U.S. president, is it the true picture what's happening?
Data, again, can say anything you want it to say, depending on how you are looking at it.
Or interpreting it?
Yeah, again, it's all interpretation. There's been some problems in the North Central. And again, I've said on different stations that we have to look at the subnational governments when we look at this issue. You take the issue of the Plateau, the issue of Benue. Clearly, there's some things going on the Plateau and in Benue. Now, the last case that happened, I think it was in Benue, where I had said that if the governor knows that he cannot act as chief security officer of Benue, he should resign and leave Benue. And let's be very frank, we don't need the U.S. to come and talk to us here. President Buhari then pushed for the reworking of the policing structure in Nigeria to have the states own their own state police. If our governors are sincere, because Trump's statement is also conditional, if the government does not move fast to do something about it, the U.S. may very well. It's all conditional, suggestive. The man has not said anything. You know, the U.S., as of this morning, is planning to move troops into Mexico. The U.S. has troops almost nearing 20,000 stationed in Venezuela as we speak. It's spread out in Western Asia. It's spread out in Eastern Asia. How many places can the U.S. be, for Pete's sake? You cannot destabilize a country that is over 250 million people. If 100 million refugees show up in Ghana, for example, or even in Europe, America is not about to play with a conflict in Nigeria. That's why he said it will be fast, it will be furious, it will be targeted. So the man hasn't said anything. He's just said if and if. Now, my question is also if our governors are sincere, the data suggests that they are not sincere about the issues of security, then all the governors will push beyond lip service for state police. The northern governor has passed different circulars to say they support the creation of state police. Good and fine. Time it was when it was only the southern governors say they want state police. Now the northern governors have said, southern governors have said, we've not moved the needle. Because once you do that, nobody will be looking to Abuja for the protection of a local government. Issue of insecurity on the state will be a ballot issue at the subnational level. For now, it is not. And nature abhors a vacuum, which allows the governors to relax and then create space and place. You know, people invited Lakrawa and Asaru to come and protect them against other bandits. Those ones came inside, having received tax on the people, now became bandits themselves. So there's a certain level of disillusionment within the polity.
Where there are governors, sitting governors who are chief security officers of their states.
Well,
They invited bandits to come and secure against bandits.
We laugh. I mean, we're not serious about some things. That's the fact. We have local government chairmen who collect allocation. This allocation has increased ×3 at the minimum. They have funds. There are local government chairmen who are not resident in their local governments, who stay in the state capital. There are state governors who are more in Abuja than they are in their states, as some will argue. So, yes, nature abhors a vacuum.
Okay. Well, Dr. Pele, there are several issues here. So on the one hand, there's a clear case of insecurity that dates back more than 10 years. On the other hand, are the connotations being read into it that there are religious colorations to these things? But then, from what both gentlemen have said, Professor Dikwa and Mr. Adekoya here, it would seem like we're either playing with data or we are just pandering, or as Malfoy and Chamberlain would say, papering over cracks. Do you think we're even addressing we were addressing the issues before this uproar started?
Ayo, let me start on a very philosophical note. If you go to your building and you see a crack on your wall and you quickly run and look for a Mensing man, and they fill cement into the crack, and you say it's okay. And the next day you come back and you see the same crack appearing. You do the same thing, thinking you're gonna get a result. The third day you come back and you say, the problem is not with the crack, the problem is with the foundation. We always, a simple logical way of reasoning is to reason from cause to effect. We are discussing effect. What is the root cause? What is the root cause? The root cause is when the government are not really being accountable enough to confront the evil that has bedeviled us and call it what it is. Prof had just said, the government needs to address the root. Look, we should stop trying to baby this issue and claiming that it's because of poverty, that's why we have terrorism in the north. It's not. The northern elites must be true to themselves. It's not. Sometimes they are the creators of their own problem. Are Christians not being killed? They are killed. Are Muslims not being killed? They are killed. Yet, some of these clerics are busy driving very expensive car, telling the government they can't do them anything. They can come either on national television, on social media, and say all kinds of things, threaten everybody, and go scot-free. And then the government is towing the line of appeasement. You will never get through peace through appeasement. We need to confront this evil and say what it is and stop treating it like elephant in the rooms. There are issues that Americans have alerted us. I agree with the gentleman in the studio. There are issues that they have alerted us. And if anybody think that they don't know what they are saying, think again. They have concrete intelligence. They have data to back what they are saying. However, I may not like the scale at which it's being said. I don't think it has scaled up to the level or status of genocide. But there is this thing. There was a report with research that came out through Al Jazeera, and they said that the killing is equal, 50-50. I beg to disagree. We need to call it what it is and deal with the issue proactively and not reactively. Do we need Americans to come and tell us what is happening before we wake up to the realities of the times? We don't. So the point I'm trying to make here is government needs to be circumspect in the way and manner they handle this thing. It's let's stop all these unnecessary rhetorics and follow a concrete diplomatic channel that will open us up to see the reality and bring a lasting solution. The entire security architecture needs a comprehensive reform. And we need to be able to look these boundaries, bandits and terrorists in the north and also in the south. Look them in the eyes and say, you're a terrorist organization. Let's stop babying Boko Haram and say it's not. Boko Haram is a terrorist organization. That's what it is. And we should name it what it is and go after those who are leading these organizations.
But the question then is, Mr. Pele, are we doing anything, are we doing it right? Yesterday, speaking with some of our guests, including Professor Abbas and a number of other people, one of the things that also came up was the fact that sometimes it is our people that are making the calls. Just yesterday, even this morning, I saw a letter online, purportedly coming from some association of people, Nigerians abroad, hailing the statement from Mr. Trump. These are Nigerians. We've heard, every one of us is aware, sometimes when we just see some people, some seemingly concerned Nigerians saying that the Nigerian government is helpless and consequently foreigners should come in to help. And we have heard rhetoric from several people as well, and something that you also know, that there is no time that any government went to another country only to service the interests of that country and not their own. Sure. So in terms of patriotism here, in terms of our people making the calls for other people to come in, I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I am a true patriotic Nigerian. There's no doubt about that. But we have to be realistic. Where is the place of patriotism? Where is the place of truth? Sometimes truth has to hurt for it to heal. You know, we need to tell ourselves some truth. Yes, I don't believe and I don't subscribe to a foreign government coming to interfere in an existing government or even confront or fight the government. No, I don't subscribe to that. However, they also reserve the right to speak out from where they are. America is known to have done quite a lot in terms of human rights, you know. So they do deserve a right to share their opinion. Is what we do with the opinion that matters. Can we then go back to the drawing board and see and ask ourselves, where are we getting it wrong in terms of our security architecture? We voted so much money. Can government be honest to tell us how much money they have voted in security, especially in the north? It will shock you how much. Yet, we are not getting concrete results. Something is wrong. If you take a bottle, it's only a madman that takes a bottle, throws it in the air, puts his head, and think that that bottle will not break that individual's head. You know, if you keep doing the same thing, you will get the same result. We need to re-strategize. We need to build the capacities of our security operatives. We need to be able to tell ourselves the truth and stop being political. You don't need to hold back what you know is evil and say, well, it will hurt my political interest. We need to designate these organizations as terrorist organizations. That's who they are. That's what they are. That's what they are doing. And they're getting emboldened every day.
How has that changed anything, Mr. Pele? The designation is not new. That has been done several times. And even we have heard governors, sitting governors. In fact, this is a good time to come to Professor Dikwa. We have had governors in Nigeria make claims and say, we know that this particular individual, we know the people who are behind these things. We know the people who are behind the banditry. We know the people who are behind the kidnapping. We know the people who are after them. We have heard analysis from military or security officials in the country analyzing the approach of the insurgents and saying that these guys are better kitted, were better kitted than the Nigerian security services. But what is striking here is that from what Mr. Adekoya said and from what is also known, governors are supposed to be the first line of offense, particularly at the state level, while the local governments are supposed to also, you know, play their role. In all of these things, have you seen anything that could have staved off these issues that we are discussing now many years back? Professor Dikwa.
Yes, many years ago. I even spoke about it prior to even the beginning of our return to democracy, that this is something that in the cooler, they were waiting for the right leaders to unleash on Nigeria. So we call them terrorists and so on. Nobody is talking to us about who are funding, who are equipping the terrorists. They are terrorists, fine, true, that is true. But ask anybody to tell you that politicians, why are they playing gymnastics? In our books, your whole scripture and so on, Bible and the Quran that we know very well, is telling us to kill the killers. But somebody else, somewhere else is telling us to keep the people because they can survive. They kill in mass, the way they kill at least 500 shootings per month in America. Nobody's talking about. America is about to shut down. It is a distraction from local politics. And those who are coming, for instance, our clerics should at least be objective enough when taking the data, when they go to take data from hot spots like Plateau, Benue, they should also go to Zamfara, Katsina, Niger State, Borno, Yobe, and add them together and see it is about the killings of the people, a murder of the people, not even, I wouldn't use that particular word starting with a G. It is a nonsensical rhetoric that it has never happened legally. The real genocide, it is about a country invading a country and killing its people as it is happening in Gaza. That is the genocide. But in our own case, we are all on the receiving side. Nigerians are on the receiving side. Basic laws, politicians cannot pass them. Let me tell you, all the states, all the local governments, except one state, the Midwest state that later on became Bendel, all of them were created by the military that they so love to insult and abuse and blame. Why can they borrow the discipline of the military and say no to things for no when it is a national interest about it? Why playing gymnastics in the plane? Anything good doesn't have to submit a law, pass second reading, third reading, as if Nigeria has no laws. Excuse me. But this kind of rhetoric is not helping us. Let us face them. Let us use technology. Earlier than even that problem, 2009, I said technology must be used. Secondly, I said, please, Nigeria as a government should engage instructors from those countries that are equally afflicted by the same insurgency, same ideology created by the Western intelligence, like Somalia, Afghanistan, and so on. Bring them to Nigeria to teach our soldiers the unconventional way of fighting it. They refused. And again, check again, if they budget something for the defense, security, and intelligence, hardly you get 50% of the money released. And they want to go and buy. Why buy inferior weapons rather than getting superior weapons? And those weapons with the insurgents, with the criminals, with the terrorists, whether they are in the north or call them Boko Haram, call them IPOP and so on, they are all criminals because they kill people. One life is too important for us to lose. And therefore they are criminals, and politicians should not even stand behind anybody who is behind ordering, giving orders to kill people. And therefore we shouldn't accept this kind of rhetoric, Ayo. This is true. Nigeria is a great country.
All of that is understood,
no country in the world that can overlook Nigeria.
Yeah, in other words, I think we have a responsibility ourselves, Prof. My apologies, Prof, if you can hear me.
America. It is also our country.
If you can hear me, Prof, I think we all have a responsibility as well, and that's where I'm trying to go just before we take a break for a message or two. And that's the fact that, as Mr. Adekoya said, and it's a question that has been raised a number of times. Every time someone is talking about Nigeria, even Nigerians criticizing government, most of the time the attention is on the federal government, not the subnationals.
Correct.
But much of these issues occur at the subnational level, in the states. And it will seem as if a good number of times we seem to give the governors a slap on the wrist. And as Mr. Adekoya has said, there is a need to call out the governors and ask what exactly is happening. You would remember there were a couple of times that the governor of Benue State went to the then president, late President Buhari, and was telling him, come and intervene in the issues in my state. And the president at the time told him, said he said it in a televised interview, said he told him to go back home and deal with this problem. When this current president also went to Benue State in the wake of some occurrences, he said then it would seem as if it's a lot more about politics than insecurity indeed. So do you think the governors know what to do, or you think there are more political forces that are holding their hands?
Truly, governors cannot say cannot say much or do much, as long as they don't have the defense, I mean the troops to give orders. We don't have enough troops. Secondly, same government, order the state government. Mr. President can tell you now, take a percentage of it, use technology, talk to the military, be on the spot. The way
just a second, Prof. They hold security meetings. Just a second, Prof, if you can hear me. Prof, just 1 second, if you can hear me. They hold security meetings. The governors get security briefings. They sit around the table with all security forces in their state. They speak with the military, they speak with the Navy, they speak with all of the security forces. They get security, information from everywhere. Is there any governor that can say that this problem existed, I told the security officials, and they didn't do anything? They don't have to control them. All they have to do is give them the information. Is there any political will on their part? They collect security votes and all of that. They have all of these things around them.
Absolutely.
So what is it that is making it difficult for them to do what they're supposed to do?
Yes, imagine, let me finally land here. What do you do when you have the insects that eats the leaf, who lives within it? And therefore, those who are sponsoring are known. Why is government hesitating to name them? Call them and shame them. And secondly, 2003 or so, one governor and a president opened the hell gate for Boko Haram to humiliate our military after disarming, taking all the weapons down south, and left our military, our troops without enough weapons. And they just walked over Nigeria. Who did this? And nobody is asking those questions simply because they are alive. Are they waiting for them to go away before they start accusing them? The intelligence of Nigeria has always done the right thing. And therefore, we have to stand up and do it. No politics. A country is like human body. What affects the fingernail will affect the entire body. And therefore, what happens anywhere in Oshun, Enugu, rivers, Sokoto affects all of us, not just one or so. Let us not be particular about the state. We are all under siege. As long as we don't restore security, our own democracy has not been helpful for us. We only have people who are coveting the resources that ought to have gone round for people. Today, professors and doctors have packed their cars. They cannot fuel their cars and go around. This is the reality on the ground. And it is shameful. Smaller countries are doing better in terms of remuneration, in terms of funding, in terms of building the infrastructure. Those things that today, as we are talking about, we discussed them in 1992. My child of that age is now married with a child. For goodness sake, who is stopping them from implementing the agreements? Can't they come out and say, are they afraid? If they are afraid, Nigeria is not for cowards. You shouldn't be cowardly. They should come out and say, these are the forces behind refusal to fix electricity for Nigeria. We are blaming government everywhere. Those who are the devil's advocates are very much around, close to the corridor and inside the corridor.
To raise about
Thank
this
you.
matter.
Irrespective of the party.
Yes, absolutely. There are several issues to raise about this matter, and I'm sure some of them will be raised by my colleague when we return from this break. Stay with us.
We're approaching our closing moments with our guests in different parts of the country, Lagos, Kaduna, and Abuja. But I'd like to go back to the original issue that has caused this brouhaha. It was a statement by President Donald Trump designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern. And it was done on 3 statements, or let's say 4. Let me read them out. It says, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. 1 statement. Thousands of Christians are being killed. 2nd statement. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. 3rd statement. Do you agree with the statements?
I think I do to a great extent. The first one about Christians being killed,
The first one, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria.
At the same time, there's also some part of the country where Islamic religion is also facing existential threat.
Do you agree with the first statement?
Yeah, somehow, yes.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Let me go to Mr. Adekoya. Mr. Adekoya, this is the premise upon which Nigeria has been declared a country of particular concern. Do you agree with U.S. President Donald Trump that Christianity is facing existential threats in Nigeria?
No, based on available information, if you look at the data from 1960, Christianity has been on the increase in Nigeria. So no, there is no existential threat to Christianity. But yes, Christians are being killed. Yes, part of those killings are by Islamic extremists who are waging a jihad. I think there's a 4th one. So no to the first one, but the data will suggest that the U.S. is right on 2, 3, and perhaps 4.
All right. Let me come to Professor. Professor, this is the premise upon which, you know, all of these statements have been made, and we have been declared a country of particular concern. As a Nigerian and a Muslim living in the north, do you think that Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria?
And those who are propagating it are antichrist themselves.
Prof, I didn't get your initial response. I lost you briefly.
Yes, they are antichrist. They don't believe in religion. It is about permanent interest. It is not about religion that guides people. It is a fallacy to say either Christianity or Islam is facing an existential threat. It is a fallacy. It is not true. C'est pas vrai.
Okay. So out of, well, you know, Mr. Adekoya says he doesn't agree that the first statement is not correct, but that Christians are being killed is correct, and that radical Islamists are responsible for it is also correct. But the very first statement, he disagrees with it. Mr. Jacob Pele says, to an extent, he thinks that, yes, that Christianity could be facing an existential threat in Nigeria. So it's not certainty. Prof, you disagree completely as well, in line with Mr. Adekoya. However, what I would like to know is if, let me say we have 2.5 scores over 3, I'll take it at 2.5 scores over 3, which some people would say is closer to 3. You know, there is a general disagreement that Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. How do we then begin to de-escalate? Because this is the premise upon which the United States has declared this statement that Nigeria is now a country of particular concern. How do we begin to de-escalate and bring other facts to light that says the problems are a little more complex than are being presented? Let me start with you, Mr. Pele.
Absolutely. I think what we need to do, like I did say in my answer to your question, and I said in some parts of the country, yes, I still stand by that.
In some parts of the country?
Yes, in some part of the countries. And it's both ways. Some part of the countries that Muslims don't feel safe. There are some part of the countries that Christians don't feel safe. That's my personal opinion. However, what do? It's important if we go back, let's say go back to Buhari's administration. He almost accepted that there are people in his government that is responsible for what is happening in terms of security. He almost accepted that openly, all right? Why is it that he didn't do anything concerning that?
Well, we've left the Buhari administration.
Okay, so let's
come to he says in his own response, he says since 2023, he did not take, never mind all APC, he did not take responsibility for Buhari's time. He said our administration has maintained an open and active engagement with Christian and Muslim leaders alike and continues to address security challenges which affect citizens across faith and regions. Is it sufficient?
Well, that's what he would say as a leader. You don't expect anything more than that. But are they really doing, are they really implementing what this statement alludes to? I don't think so. I think there's still this baby. I mean, Bola Tinubu as a person is very free-minded. His wife is a Christian, a pastor, which is fine. However, this issue of dealing with the cause, not the effect, is a problem. What is the cause? This continuous babying of this issue, you know the people responsible, you can't call them out, and once they say, oh, no, it's political, oh, no, it's poverty, oh, no, the rhetorics, the clerics can say whatever they like and go scot-free. Walk around.
So what do we need to do?
We need to get the people responsible for this. We need to get to the root of it. Number two, I don't believe that all the money that Boko Haram is using comes from foreign powers. They are local politicians who are empowering them financially to do what they are doing because they believe that the more a region or a particular place or people are destabilized, the less or the more their political interests, you know. So we need to get to the root of those responsible for this, follow the money, who is funding them, be bold to call them out. Thirdly, we need to look at our security architecture. How can we get more ammunition? How can we get more capacity for the security? How do we motivate them? Many of them, and you know, you have individuals that once they have set up the troop to go and do the job, they get information, they call them out, sometimes put them in a very dangerous situation where some of them are killed. So we need to be very honest. We need to take a proactive step. We need to fund our military. We need to stop this unnecessary rhetorics of diversionary tactics. What America is interested in is the economic interest. Of course, yeah. Anybody can be interested in economic interest. But what do you do to safeguard your economy?
All right, so fine place to leave it. Prof, I'm going to take your closing comments very quickly on this. What do we need to do to de-escalate this rhetoric? What do we need to do to disabuse the minds of those who think that the Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria?
Okay, fine. The truth is that federal government must see to it that the funding of the intelligence, security, and military is adequate. And secondly, make sure that anybody who either sponsors or does anything to kill others must be made to follow the victims within days, not within months of semantic gymnastics in the courts. And therefore, coming together and the marching order given by Mr. President, this is impeccable. You cannot say it better than this. But the follow-up, what happens behind the scene? Is it true that our military have the weapons? They have everything. Technology is being used. And those who are culpable are asked, are ordered to have, at least we know few of them, the former governors from the extreme north, they are known. Those who are in Abuja, those who are making money in Abuja, and the banks know how the ransom money is being deposited. Technology can detect it. The man in the bush hardly gets 10,000, and then the ransom is about million. It is not an elitist game. Let us face reality. Let us stop killing ourselves. Tomorrow belongs to our children. Let us employ them. They can do it.
All right, let me go
to... have to repass. Yes.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Prof. Mr. Dekoya, what needs to be done?
I think we have to pursue an efficient outcome, very clear-mindedly. Efficient outcome is look at the root cause of the issues. The president should negotiate on a win-win position with the Americans. There's opportunity to sell more weapons. We're open for investment. We're non-alignist. There's no need to have any conflict with any hegemon. That's on the one hand. To the U.S. government, we don't need their invasion, but yes, we do need support from every country. I may also add that, and this may be a bit controversial, but it's okay. We're losing too much lives. The U.S. may please put the governors in whose state people die mercilessly on persons of interest lists and sanction them, you know, so that people know that when you contest for governor of a state, it comes with a weight where it says that the protection of life and property will be the primary responsibility of government. So if the U.S. is looking for a quick win, place the governors of those states where these things are happening massively on a watch list, sanction them. Because even in those states where there's insecurity, the governors win election. So if they can win election, they can win the fight against insecurity. Otherwise, they should resign. And let's save lives of our troops, of our police, of our citizens, because this solution is local. It requires a local approach. My thoughts.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We have to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is a political and global affairs analyst, and he joined us via Zoom from Kaduna. Mr. Jacob Pele, founder, TAF Africa, here in our Abuja studios. Thank you so much. As well as Mr. Onyekachi Adekoya, who's a geopolitical and security risk expert. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. That's where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Sunrise Daily. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Business is still on, and it's on the hour.